When a humble maid returns to the mansion in tears, the billionaire who once overlooked her kindness is forced to face a truth he never saw coming. A letter, a memory, and a secret bond revealed. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more exciting content. The rain hadn't stopped for hours. It poured over the Weston estate like heaven itself was trying to wash something away. When Grace, the maid, pushed open the grand doors, her hands were trembling so badly that the umbrella slipped from her grasp and clattered to the floor. Her face was pale, streaked with tears. Her eyes, usually soft, kind, were now full of something else. Fear. From the top of the staircase, Alexander Weston, billionaire, CEO, and the man whose name built half the city, looked down in confusion. "Grace? What's wrong?" She didn't answer. Her throat closed around the words. He descended the steps slowly, noticing the envelope crushed in her hands. "Talk to me. What happened?" When she finally looked at him, her voice broke. "I'm so sorry, sir. I never wanted you to find out this way." He frowned. "Find out what?" Grace took a shaky breath and extended the envelope. "About her." He hesitated before taking it. The paper was wet, the ink smudged, but one thing was unmistakable: the handwriting. His late wife's. He tore it open, heart pounding. "Alexander, if you're reading this, it means Grace couldn't keep the secret any longer. I told her to protect you, even if it meant lying. Please, forgive me. There are things you never knew about that night, about the fire. And about the child." The letter slipped from his hand and hit the marble floor. "What child?" he whispered. Grace's lips trembled. "Your daughter didn't die in the fire, sir." The words punched through the air like thunder. He staggered back, staring at her in disbelief. "That's not possible. I saw the—" "No," she said quickly, shaking her head. "You saw what they wanted you to see. I was there, Mr. Weston. She choked on the words, "I took her." For a moment, neither of them breathed. "You what?" Grace's knees buckled, and she fell to the floor, sobbing. "I saved her. The house was burning, and your wife begged me to run with the baby. She said people were coming for her, people who would stop at nothing to erase the truth. I've kept her hidden ever since. I did it to protect her, to protect you." Alexander's world tilted. His chest felt hollow. "Where is she?" Grace looked up, her tears reflecting the chandelier's cold light. "Safe. Until tonight." Lightning split the sky, and a loud crash echoed from the east wing. Alexander turned sharply. "What was that?" Grace's eyes widened with terror. "They found us." A child's scream echoed through the mansion. Alexander ran toward the sound, heart hammering. Grace stumbled after him. At the end of the corridor, the nursery door, sealed for years, was wide open. Inside, curtains flapped wildly in the wind from a broken window. And on the floor, in the dim glow of the lightning, lay a small silver locket, the same one his wife used to wear. He picked it up, hands shaking. Inside was a photo of his wife holding a baby. And next to it, a slip of paper scrawled with fresh ink. "If you want to see her again, come alone." The storm howled louder. Grace gasped. Alexander dropped to his knees, clutching the locket to his chest, as the lights flickered out. Somewhere beyond the mansion walls, a car engine started. And the sound of a child crying faded into the rain. The rain had turned into a storm that seemed to swallow the night. Alexander Weston stood in the dark nursery, clutching the silver locket to his chest. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the realization that the life he'd been living for the past 6 years was built on a lie. Grace knelt by the window, tears mixing with the rain that blew inside. "They've taken her," she whispered. "They finally found us." Alexander turned sharply. Who? Who are they? Grace hesitated, eyes darting toward the shadows. The people your wife tried to expose before the fire. The ones behind the accident that killed her. Alexander's stomach twisted. You're telling me Clara's death wasn't an accident? Grace looked at him then, really looked at him, and for the first time, he saw the depth of guilt in her eyes. She discovered something in your company, sir. Something dangerous. Clara came to me the night of the fire. She said if anything happened to her, I had to protect the baby. I didn't understand until it was too late. Lightning flashed, illuminating the horror on his face. And you've kept her hidden all this time? Yes, Grace said. I changed my name, moved from place to place, but last week someone followed us. I brought her back here because I thought this was the safest place. I was wrong. Alexander's mind raced. He snatched his phone and dialed security, but the line was dead. Every camera feed showed static. They've cut the power, he muttered. They're still on the property. A loud bang echoed through the hall, like a door being forced open. Grace flinched. Alexander grabbed the antique revolver from the drawer of Clara's desk and handed Grace a flashlight. Stay behind me. They crept through the corridor, each flash of lightning showing the shattered portraits, the overturned vase, the eerie emptiness that used to be home. Another noise, a soft cry, from the library. Alexander pushed the door open slowly. The fire from the hearth had long gone cold, but the scent of smoke still lingered. And on the table was a tablet, still lit, playing a live video feed. Grace gasped. On the screen, a little girl, no more than 6, sat blindfolded in the back seat of a moving car, crying softly. A man's distorted voice came through the speaker. Mr. Weston, now you finally know the truth. But knowing it won't save her. The screen went black. Grace clutched her chest. Oh God, no. Alexander's jaw tightened, anger burning away his shock. I don't care who they are. They took my daughter. He turned toward Grace. You're going to tell me everything. Every name, every address, every secret Clara ever told you. Grace hesitated, her lips trembling. There's something you don't understand, sir. What? He snapped. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She's not the only child they want. Alexander froze. What do you mean? Before Grace could answer, the glass behind them shattered, and a red laser dot appeared on her chest. She gasped, eyes wide. Get down. Alexander shouted, diving toward her. A single gunshot split the air. The storm raged outside as Grace collapsed in his arms, blood staining his shirt. She tried to speak, her voice barely audible. The person you trusted most, it's them, it was always. Her words faded as her hand went limp. Alexander looked up toward the broken window, rain pouring in, and saw a shadow move across the balcony. Someone was still inside. He whispered through gritted teeth, "You'll pay for this." And then, from the darkness at the top of the stairs, came a voice he hadn't heard in 6 years. "Hello, Alexander." He turned. And his blood ran cold. The mansion was silent except for the hiss of rain through the broken window. Alexander stood frozen, the words "hello, Alexander" still echoing in his head. He turned toward the staircase, every breath shallow. A tall figure stood in the shadows above him, face hidden beneath the flicker of lightning. "Who's there?" he demanded. "Show yourself." The figure stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. When the light hit their face, Alexander's knees weakened. It was Clara. His wife. The woman he'd mourned, the woman whose letter had shattered his world only hours earlier. She looked alive, but not the Clara he remembered. Her eyes were colder now, her expression unreadable. "You weren't supposed to find the letter yet," she said softly. I needed more time. Alexander could barely breathe. You're alive, all this time, you've been alive. Why hide? Why take our daughter? Clara's gaze flicked toward the dark hallway. Because she isn't safe with you. Not until you destroy the company you built. What are you talking about? He said, stepping closer. Who's behind this? Who are they? Before she could answer, the security lights outside flickered on. The sound of engines and shouting filled the drive, dozens of men in black raincoats sweeping the grounds. Clara's face changed. It's too late. They've found us both. Who? Alexander asked again. The same people you've been funding without even knowing, she said. The ones who turned your inventions into weapons. She reached into her coat and pressed a small, metallic drive into his hand. Everything you need is on this. Find the man who calls himself the broker. He's the only one who can get her back. Alexander stared at the device, then at Clara. You're not coming with me? She shook her head. Not yet. If they see me alive, they'll kill her. Another flash of light from outside. Voices drawing closer. Clara took a step back toward the darkness of the corridor. Go, Alexander. And whatever you do, don't trust anyone from the board. Then she was gone, disappearing into the storm just as the front doors burst open behind him. A voice shouted, Mr. Weston. We're here to help. He turned, clutching the small drive in his fist. One of the men stepped forward, soaked in rain, flashing an ID badge. Alexander squinted at it, and froze. The badge bore the seal of his own company. The storm outside had softened to a steady drizzle by the time Alexander Weston stepped out of his mansion. The police lights flashing across the driveway felt wrong, too synchronized, too calm. The man in front, wearing the rain-soaked coat with the Weston Industries emblem, spoke evenly. Mr. Weston, we're here to secure the property. You've been compromised. Alexander's grip tightened around the small metallic drive in his pocket, the one Clara had given him moments before she vanished into the storm. Compromised by who? He asked, trying to read the man's expression. The man hesitated, then said, an internal leak. Someone close to you. But we'll handle it from here. Something in his tone made Alexander's stomach twist. Handle it. That was corporate language, not rescue language. Where's my daughter? Alexander demanded. If you're really from my company, you should have answers. The man smiled slightly. We do. But you won't like them. Before Alexander could respond, a sleek black car rolled up the driveway, headlights cutting through the fog. The man glanced at it, then back at Alexander. Your ride's here. The chairman wants to see you. Immediately. Alexander's heart pounded. The chairman. The title no one ever used aloud, the shadow behind Weston Industries, the investor who had financed everything but never revealed his face. He looked toward the mansion one last time. The windows were dark, the halls silent. Grace's voice echoed in his head, they found us. He got into the car. The doors locked automatically. The driver wore a cap and never spoke. As the car rolled through the gates, Alexander noticed the road they were taking, not toward the city, but away from it, toward the cliffs. He tried to reach for his phone. No signal. The metallic drive felt heavy in his pocket. Hours passed. The fog grew thicker. Finally, the car stopped in front of an old stone manor overlooking the sea, an estate that looked abandoned but pulsed with faint blue light from inside. The driver turned slightly. He's waiting. Inside, the air smelled of salt and metal. Screens lined the walls, displaying security feeds, stock prices, and encrypted files, all bearing the Weston Industries logo. A single figure sat at the end of a long glass table, face hidden behind the glow of a monitor. Mr. Weston, the voice said, calm, deep, and almost familiar. You've caused quite a storm tonight. Alexander straightened his shoulders. Where's my daughter? The man chuckled softly. Safe. For now. Alexander slammed his hands on the table. You tell me where she is, or you'll what? The man interrupted, finally standing. He stepped out of the shadows, and Alexander froze. It wasn't a stranger. It was Ethan Vale, his oldest friend, co-founder of the company, the man who'd vanished after Clara's death. Alexander's voice dropped. You. Ethan smiled faintly. We built something extraordinary, Alex. But your wife didn't understand its potential. She tried to destroy it. And now, she's teaching your daughter to do the same. Alexander's pulse thundered in his ears. You're lying. Ethan turned the monitor toward him. A live video feed flickered on, a dim room, a small girl sitting on a chair, holding a stuffed bear. Then the screen glitched, and another figure appeared behind her, Clara. Ethan leaned forward. You want them both back? Then give me the drive. Alexander reached into his pocket, his hand trembling. What's on it? Ethan's smile faded. Everything that can destroy me, and you. The wind outside howled through the broken windows, and somewhere deep inside the manor, a timer began to beep. Alexander looked down at the drive. Then at the screen showing his wife and daughter. The beeping grew faster. Ethan said quietly, you have 60 seconds to decide whose truth survives. The timer on the wall kept ticking, every second echoing through the stone chamber like a heartbeat. Alexander Weston stood at the table between two screens, one showing his wife and daughter in the safe house, the other showing the encrypted data that could destroy his company, his fortune, and everything he'd built. Ethan Vale waited in silence. It's simple, he said. Give me the drive, keep your family. Keep the lie alive. Alexander's throat tightened. And if I don't? Then the truth burns everything. He looked at the drive in his hand. Clara had risked everything to get it to him. She had vanished, lived in the dark for 6 years, all to protect their daughter and a secret too big to hide. He thought about the promises he'd made, the kind that were supposed to mean something. Alexander lifted his eyes. You were my friend, Ethan. I still am, Ethan said quietly. This is business. You of all people should understand. Alexander exhaled slowly. Then you never knew me. He placed the drive on the scanner and pressed upload. Every monitor in the room flared to life. Files unfolded across the world, blueprints, bank records, hidden contracts, evidence of the experiments, the cover-ups, the people Ethan's division had used and silenced. Ethan's calm broke. You don't know what you've done. Alexander met his gaze. I do. Outside, alarms began to wail. On the remaining screen, Clara looked up as if hearing them too. You did it, she whispered. You actually did it. Then the feed cut out. Hours later, the storm had passed. Dawn broke over the cliffs, pale and cold. Emergency crews moved through the wreck of the old manor, collecting what was left of Weston Industries' hidden servers. Alexander stood alone on the overlook, the locket in his hand, waiting. A small car pulled up. The door opened, and a little girl ran toward him. Daddy! He dropped to his knees and held her tight, the world finally quiet around them. Behind her, Clara stepped out of the car. Their eyes met, full of everything that had been lost and everything that might still be rebuilt. She said softly, "It's over." Alexander looked toward the horizon where the sea met the sky. "No," he said. "It's just beginning." From the cliff's edge, a phone vibrated on the ground. A message flashed across its cracked screen. The broker, Phase 2 activated. The wind rose again, carrying the sound of distant sirens into the dawn.